Hi girls, Mr. Gilmore here. Today we're going to go back to factorization. So this is our sixth class on this subject. And what we need to know before this class is how to find the roots of a quadratic. So like what you were doing with the lesson before, we kind of took that little diversion into constructions. And then today we're going to learn how to find the unknown sides of a shape using our knowledge of quadratics. Now, you're going to probably notice that we're going to be working through the next section of the chapter a little bit slowly. The reason for that is I generally find a lot of girls get lost at the point in which we start talking about, like how would you find this real world situation? It complicates things quite heavily. So I'm going to work through this a little bit slower and just to kind of give you girls a chance. Okay? Now, looking at this, let's just start straight into a question. Okay, so you can see that there's a rectangle here with a width of x plus c centimeters, right? So it is x plus c centimeters wide, and it is x centimeters high. So we know that the width is 6 centimeters longer than the height, and we know that the total area of this is 160 centimeters squared. Now, in order to remember this, we need to remember area of a triangle. Sorry, area of a rectangle, right? It's terribly written, but whatever. Area of a rectangle. And that equals height by width, right? So it's height by its width. So we know from this that x plus x multiplied by x, so the width multiplied by the height is going to equal 160, right? So we know this from our knowledge of the area of a rectangle. From that, you're going to get x squared plus 6x equals 160. What we want to do now is we want to bring this 160 over, and we will end up with a nice little quadratic. And now we're just solving out this quadratic. So we're factorizing it. So let's look at 160. And we want a difference of 6. So what I'm going to immediately go is I'm going to go, wait a second, 16 multiplied by 10, that's 160, and those subtracted from one another give me plus 6. So I know from that x equals 0, and I know plus 16 minus 10, okay? Now from this we know, okay, what are the values here? Like, so we can go, okay, x plus 16 equals 0, or x minus 10 equals 0, okay? And from that we can go, okay, x equals minus 16 centimeters, or x equals 10 centimeters, okay? But wait, which one of these do we use? Well, it only makes sense that the height of this is positive, right? It wouldn't make sense. Oh, I've got, how tall are you? Oh, I'm minus 1.5 meters. It would be like, what are you talking about? No, you only really ever measure things in positive numbers. So we're going to say, okay, the 10 centimeters is the correct measure. So we know from that the height of the object, the height of this rectangle, is 10 centimeters. And we know that the width is 6 centimeters more than the height. So we can go, okay, width equals 16 centimeters. Great. So let's look at one other example. That'll be very similar. The difference here is it's not going to give us the actual drawing. So we've got 1 second. There we go. I have a rectangle with a width 4 centimeters longer than its height. The area of the rectangle is 32 centimeters squared. What are its dimensions? So what I would do if I was given a question like this is I would first just draw out a quick little rectangle. And it doesn't have to be flawless, see? It can be a scratchy little drawing. We know that the width, okay, is 4 centimeters longer than the height. So the height we're going to say is x centimeters. And the width we're going to say is x plus 4 centimeters. Okay? We know that height by width, or width by height, is going to equal the total area, 32 centimeters squared, so 32 centimeters squared, and thus we have something we can change into a quadratic. So next we're going to multiply out our brackets. So we multiply this, get x squared plus 4x equals 32. And now to get x squared plus 4x minus 32 equals 0, because we're bringing this over so that we can have the full quadratic on one side of the equation. Because if it's not all on one side of the equation, we can't really factorize it, can we? Now just looking at 32, we want two factors of 32 that divide 4 evenly. So I'm just going to go through this systematically. 2 by 16. Nope, that is more of a difference. 4 by 8. Okay, there we go. That has a difference of 4. 4 by 8. So we can go, okay, x bracket equals 0. So it's a positive 4x, so we're going to go plus 8 minus 4. And now again, we're just finding these roots. So from that, you have x equals minus 8 centimeters, or x equals 4 centimeters. We can go, wait a second, only one of these will make any sense. X equals 4 centimeters. So we know that the height of the item is 4 centimeters. So that's going to be 4 cm. And then the width of the item, in this case, is going to equal 8 centimeters. And there we have our solution. Now, I'm going to give you girls some work to do. One of these will also include a triangle. So just remember that the area of a triangle, I won't do an example with a triangle. I think you kind of see the gist of this. The area of the triangle is 1/2 the height by the width, okay? So just remember that half when you're doing that triangle question. And can you all look at page 205? Give me a try at questions 8, 9, 11, and 13. And we'll all see you in class tomorrow. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day, girls. Bye-bye.